Hello, I want to explain something. Well, explain is not the word, but I want to explore something about gender in Mario 64. It's some ideas I've been having about how the basic triad in this game is Bowser, Mario, and Peach. And one could say, okay, so the the gender in this game, I think the way it's been expressed is Mario is male, um, Peach female, and Bowser is male, or like masculine, feminine, masculine, or something like that. And that's the way, right, it's being presented, and that's the canonical way, I guess, of understanding it. However, Bowser's role has always intrigued me in relation to this, and I wanted to maybe explore some of it now. And it's because Bowser, on the one hand, like, is okay. I guess one way of looking at it, one way of entering this issue is I feel there is something sort of kink related with Bowser in that he has this sort of he has like a kind of non-normative uh look to him if when compared to Mario and Peach. Like Bowser has a sort of mohawkish kind of thing. In Mario 64 is actually less clear what his hairstyle is, but in other earlier games he clearly has some sort of long mohawk type thing and wears like these black leather, like he has a black leather collar on his neck and a couple of them on his arms with spikes on them. So those are elements that are not sort of traditionally considered to be part of a normative, um, well, a normative gender role of any kind, really, in any sort of traditional setting, right? It's it's sort of kink adjacent, and it when compared to Mario and Peach, like Mario and Peach represent like the most traditional gender roles you could probably depict, the most fairy tale fairy tale adjacent stuff, I suppose, where Mario's this mustached, facial head sort of working man, and Peach is this pink dressed princess, so like non-working woman in some sense. Non-working as in aristocratic. So there's a constant association with like Peach has mm, the kind of clothes, the kind of sort of again this changes in some games, but specifically in Mario 64, I think Peach is sort of a classic kind of fairy tale like normative feminine role, right? Of again non-active, non-working, and so on. And Mario is this like very non-feminine looking, masculine looking, active masculine role in some way, right? I don't know if you would agree with that, but that's how I read these roles in this game, and I think it's interesting to explore them in some way because Bowser is very interesting to me because on one hand, Bowser is hyper masculine, you could say. Bowser is like more masculine than Mario, depending on how you look at it, because he has, in some sense, the attributes of what you would think of like a biker or something, a heavy metal sort of dude. The black leather spikes and the long mohawk are culturally associated with a sort of precisely a kind of countercultural, anti-cultural kind of hmm, anger, I suppose, that is not associated to Mario and that is culturally seen as being more masculine or more depicting of the masculine uh, energy, right? So on one hand, you could say, oh, it's more masculine role, but at the same time, it's interesting because precisely these sort of kind of kink adjacent things are also precisely because of that associated to countercultural movements, countercultural uh, kind of forms of sexuality and gender expression, right? Countercultural haircuts and ways of using jewelry and clothes and so on, which you could equally associate to a less traditionally masculine role, a more kind of queered masculine role in some sense, in that it's um, got long hair, right? Again, some Bowsers have long hair, which you would never kind of imagine Mario having long hair. It's a kind of role that Mario wouldn't have traditionally in the early games. Long hair and jewelry or accessories of that kind, the black leather bracelets, and especially like the collar, um, depict a kind of almost like a form of submission, like wearing a collar as a mm, as an identity that denotes I have been pierced and strapped by different things that are not me, right? Um, Accessories in that way, I think, have this element to them. Jewelry have this element to them that is not associated traditionally to a masculine role, um, because of how they have a sort of, and I guess when traditionally I mean in like capitalist societies, it doesn't have this sort of association with total dominance because they have an element of I am submitting to this jewelry, right? I'm not entirely free. I'm strapped by these bracelets and these collars and so on. It's something that is not associated to masculinity in capitalism, I would say. And that, interestingly, makes Bowser visually kind of more similar to Peach than to Mario. Again, if you account for the earlier depictions of the long hair and so on, you would never imagine Mario with long hair and jewelry or any sort of accessories other than his hat, right? Uh, and so Bowser is the only other character with long hair alongside Peach, and is the other character alongside Peach who wears any kind of jewelry or accessories of any kind. Right? Peach wears the earrings. I don't think she actually wears any bracelets or uh, necklace or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, for this analysis, we'll have to make do with the earrings. I think maybe it depends on the game, but in Mario 64, I don't think so. So, so again, it's this long hair and jewelry and accessories which are more, in some interesting way, more associated with Peach than with Mario. So it's interesting to note, like, what is Bowser in this game? What does Bowser represent? Where does his role sit in terms of gender? Especially when accounting for the way in which precisely Bowser and Peach's images get fused in this castle in some way. Bowser and Peach's paintings fuse in and out of each other. They sit alongside each other in a parallelized way that sort of suggests that there is a blending of identities between them. Like, what is this? Is it a painting of Peach or is it a painting of Bowser? Are we staring at a room decorated with paintings of Peach, or are we staring at a room decorated with paintings of Bowser, right? You could even suggest that the stereotypical idea of the evil kind of magician storming the castle and taking it from Peach, one could say, well, yeah, there's a hyper kind of masculine thing about that, of dominance over the castle. Like, I'm going to invade the castle. But at the same time, Bowser wants to be the monarch of this castle. That's why I imagine the castle is filled with his paintings. I mean, his or photographs or whatever they are, right? So he's substituting Peach for himself in some way. It's like saying, I want this castle, which belongs to Peach, to be the castle that belongs to me. In some sense, you could say, I want to be in Peach's position, right? The Bowser is saying, I want to occupy Peach's role in this castle. I want to be Peach and have the castle that she has, but not just the castle, like her role in the Mushroom Kingdom, in society. Of gender, which is somehow, I think, floating or somewhere that isn't either Mario or Peach. And I find that very interesting. That asks several questions, right? What is Mario's role in all this? Like, what is Mario's role in fighting against Bowser?